broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Houston, Texas. It's time for Houston Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hello, Houston. Trisha Stetzel here, bringing you another episode of Houston Business Radio. My friend, Bob Danna, is back, fellow at the Global Curiosity Institute and author of the memoir, My Curious Life. If my grandkids ask about me, tell them this. With more than 5 decades of leadership experience as a physicist, U.S. Navy officer, consulting engineer, and senior executive in human capital management, Bob's career is a true example of how curiosity fuels growth and reinvention. Bob, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Trisha. I really appreciate the re-invite and really looking forward to our conversation.
I am too. I'm really excited to hear about what you're working on right now, Bob.
Yeah, Trisha, there are some really exciting things going on as everyone in your audience knows. AI, you can't read anything, tune into anything and not hear about AI. So I'm an old guy. I'm 74, but still very curious. And as I think the listeners may know from our last conversation, I retired now about 1.5 years ago. And so at this point, it's all give back. I'm not looking to make money, make investments, do any of that stuff. That's all behind me. Now it's the real question is, where is the impact that an old person can make in actually doing something that is going to be beneficial to the next generations. So especially the Gen Z and Gen Alphas, I think that's the place that I'm really trying to focus on these days. And so a couple of interesting things. Obviously, Trisha, you mentioned the Global Curiosity Institute, still very involved with that, really pushing the envelope of promoting the power of curiosity. The fact that, most people are not at this point in their lives, once you're probably past 14 or 15, a lot of that curiosity has been beaten out of you. And so, at this point, it's like, it would be good actually to maybe reinvigorate that muscle that you now have lost. And I've actually lived that and honed that muscle over my entire lifetime. So we're still working on that. But what I'd like to kind of chat with you about is actually the whole possibility of AI in all of its different dimensions. So I think I mentioned last time that I was working with Ray DeRegis. He's working on what he's calling the Young Professionals Playbook. And so that actually now has all 25 episodes, all 25 podcasts done. You can actually go to Young Professionals Playbook, all one word.com, and it's free. You can go and especially as a Gen Z or Gen Alpha, take a look at the podcasts. They're all AI generated, including Bob Danna is in there several times being interviewed, but it's not me. It's an AI me. So it's really cool. And so I think there's some real insights there, because what we did was we tried to and Lacey Lowe, who you can have on your program here probably in October, she and I work with Ray to generate content, but also to try to pick subjects. So actually Curiosity is one of the podcasts. And there's also one on being a skeptic and managing up and, how to, so there's all kinds of things that are practical for Gen Z as they're now entering the workforce. And so one of the things we wanted to do is not just kind of, do onboarding stuff, the normal stuff. It's like, what did we learn? Okay, over all these years, that if I can, give you that now, that may really help in terms of your ability to grow in an organization. So anyway, I'll give you one snippet and then I'll let you ask questions. But the actual structure is unique. So the podcast is, again, 100% AI. So we wrote the content, but then the actual host, you, okay, would actually be an AI generated person from all over the world, all different accents. It's all spoken in English, but with heavy accents from Southeast Asia or from Europe or whatever. All very diverse group of hosts. And so they'll introduce the podcast, introduce the topic, and then actually kind of bring on a guest, me. But I'm going to be AI too. So my voice, etc. They got it from me. They got an old guy voice from Long Island. So it actually doesn't quite sound like me, but it's close enough. And then Ray generated a song because it's like, okay, oh, thanks, Bob. Now we're going to take a quick break and we're going to go to a song on the subject. And he wrote with AI a song. And then they have callers who are calling in. Well, callers are all AI generated. And then there's kind of a practical kind of scenario-based exercises at the end to kind of test your thinking. So it's all 30 minutes. It's all packed into 30-minute, just like this. And so, but there's 25 of them. I encourage you. It's been one of the really fun projects that we've done over the last year.
Wow, that is amazing that you've been able to create something like that and generate it all with AI. All right. So Young Professionals with an S playbook.com is where everyone can go and find that resource. It sounds really cool. I'm doing that as soon as we finish here. I'm just saying, because I want to hear Bob. I want to hear your AI generated voice.
AI Bob.
AI Bob.
He sounds a lot better than the real Bob.
I love this. So really important that we're giving this kind of information back to our younger generations. You and I talked about that in our last episode, how important it is for us to be sharing the knowledge and even the stories that we have and creating this legacy for our young professionals as well as our families. So Bob, we were talking before we started recording today about how important it is to tell our stories. And you were telling me how this AI generated Bob now knows all of, not all of it, but a lot of content where you've gone out and told your stories and you've talked about the things that you're doing. How important is it that we tell our stories for our younger generations?
I think it's absolutely critical, Tricia. Absolutely critical, because at this point, we've spent a lifetime kind of bumps, bruises, kind of lessons learned, a little insight here, and maybe a tiny bit of wisdom there. And you can kind of sit down and have a chat. But it's, I think, going to be really, really important because when we're gone, the only thing that we really have that we can leave is our story. And so I think it's critical to be able to capture that. And let me tell you what I'm doing, which is really going to be, I think, interesting to the audience, is number one, I wrote the book. Obviously, it's a memoir. Okay. So it's 270, pages of me trying to kind of recollect the last, 74 years and put it into perspective. Everything in the book tries to effectively kind of disassemble and then reassemble Bob Danna. So it's like, this, you mentioned all these different parts of me, okay, the physicist and the engineer and the business person, et cetera. But what did I learn in all those different things? And then be able to convey that. So that's what the book does. But then I've also been doing some podcasts and obviously quite a number of radio shows and being a guest on other podcasts and blogs and other things. Well, we took all of that, which was about 600 pages of stuff, okay, and uploaded it into ChatGPT, which you hear all the time. And so kind of took that and then actually had to tell ChatGPT who I am. What's my personality? What's my demeanor? What are the guardrails? If I went into the internet and did a search, okay, how much would I be questioning what I'm seeing? How much evidence? How many facts? How much do I need to look at before I would conclude, okay, fine, I'm going to convey this to somebody else. you can actually tell ChatGPT all of that stuff. So now you got your story, okay? And actually you got your personality and attitude and kind of the essence of you, put it all in a Cuisinart press, mix. And where we are right now, which is really, really crazy, I call the thing Bot Bob. And actually the joke around here and all of our friends who have been looking at this is, if you ask Bot Bob, who are you? Okay. Bot Bob would say, well, I'm Bob. So it's like, I don't know who this guy is. Okay. What we're calling me now is Meat Bob, MEAT Bob. Okay. So here's but Bot Bob thinks he's Bob. Okay, so and so you can actually have a conversation with Bot Bob. I mean, just you press a button, okay, and you speak into your microphone, and then Bot Bob speaks back. Okay, with my voice, because we actually put my voice into 11 Labs is the technology. And then you speak for a half an hour, upload that, and then it creates that whole library. And so even the words may not be there, it will then have created an actual conversation. And it's real time. It's like 1 second. So you ask a question and 1 second back, but then Bob asks you a continuing question. So you actually have a conversation. And so so the story, okay, is the important part. You got to start with your story. But now, for all of the old people that are on your I'll tell you, you can actually create an AI agent of yourself that will allow you to leave that legacy to your children, your grandchildren, your friends, who can now continue to have conversations with you. Sooner or later we'll all be gone, but maybe not. Maybe there'll be an AI agent, a bot you, a bot Tricia.
Yeah. I don't. That sounds kind of scary, Bob. I'm not sure about a bot Tricia.
The thing I will tell you, the thing I'm looking forward to, because I've been working with this guy, Joe DiDonato, who's putting it all together, and my objective is next year. Okay. You don't have Meat Bob on this radio show for a conversation, but we will actually set up Bot Bob, so you can have a conversation with the AI agent in real time, ask questions, get answers, have Bot Bob ask you questions, etc., and have a conversation with a me AI agent. So I'll stop there.
Wow! All right, Bob. My mind is blown right now that I might be having a conversation with Bot Bob the next time we have an opportunity to get together. Tell me this. I know curiosity has always been an important part of everything that you've done, and particularly as you do your work with the Curiosity Institute. What is it about this bot and leaving a legacy and using the technology that you find is important and a reason for doing this work?
Yeah, I think in a word, it is the word legacy. I think that is the whole thing. Because you can leave property, you can leave money, okay, you can leave stuff. Okay, I'm not a stuff kind of a guy. Okay, I want to be able to leave something that actually has real value, and not material value, but real value, so that my grandkids, the four of them, between Lacey and I are between, I don't know, 5 and 8 or 9. So they don't understand anything when I tell them the story, or Lacey tells the story. It's like, no understanding whatsoever. So by the time they really will understand the story, which is 25 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old, I'm going to be long gone. So I want to be able to actually have something that is meaningful. Okay. And I think all of us want to do that, is meaningful, and actually might, even in future generations, have some kind of impact. And so that's kind of that story that And the technology will allow us to do that. And so it's that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, Bob, it's no secret that you're 74 this year because I'm pretty sure you said it before I did.
I,
What
I'm, I'm,
if
I'm,
what if people who are listening are they don't know anything about technology. They don't know how to leave their story behind. They think to themselves, I'm never going to create a bot to create this kind of legacy that Bob is leaving behind. What would you say to them?
well, you can do several things. Number one, even if you're sitting there in your living room, everybody's got smartphones these days. So there's a microphone, there's a recorder there, and just say, hey, 15 minutes a day, I'm going to just sit down and press the record button, and just tell a story of growing up in the 1960s, or what I learned on my first job, or I don't know, whatever. Okay, and do that once a day for the next, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks maybe. Think about it. Okay, 15 minutes a day times that, you actually have captured an enormous amount in all of these files. And so those can be transcribed, those can be but I'll tell you what else it can be done. You could actually take those and then have someone or yourself, or maybe get one of your kids or whatever to be a little bit useful to you. And so maybe take them and get it to a point where they can put it into a story that's a written story. Could turn into just some legacy that you want to be able to pass on to future generations. But that's what I started with. Now, whatever it was been 2.5 years ago, and then it evolved into chapters, into a book, into whatever, and that's where we are right now. So I would say, don't say, well, I'm going to leave next Thursday open, and I'm going to spend next Thursday capturing my story. No. You do 15, 20 minutes a day. That's all you need to do. But then you're going to have all of these files. And, if you don't know how to do it, somebody can explain it to you in about 15 seconds. And so start there, okay? But then get it into something that is valuable. And then, you may find that you go say, okay, fine, I'm going to find somewhere where I can upload this and now actually do something. So maybe 5% or 10% of your audience gets to that point, but 95 or 90% of your audience certainly can have a kind of a recorded narrative of their story. That in itself would be incredibly valuable to their kids and grandkids and great grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Bob, you and I spoke before we started the show today about leaving that legacy, leaving that story is so important. Why did you start down this path in the first place? Why is this leaving a legacy of Bob so important to you?
Yeah, I think that it's not so much just Bob. Okay. I think the key was when I started thinking about all of the things that I had learned. And then I think, Tricia, you and I chatted that, probably now, maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, I started to do volunteer coaching and especially mentoring, okay, of Gen Zs. Okay. So I did a lot of mentoring of Gen Zs. So not really coaching per se, but really kind of helping them think through some initial career choices, and then where they are in their initial activities on their first job, and maybe looking at the first promotion and whatever. So there's a bunch of them. And actually the conversations were really useful, and the feedback was, hey, this actually helped. So I think it isn't really kind of capturing Bob per se, but it's really being able to capture, those little highlights, those insights, that little, tiny bit of wisdom, so that they don't have to go and kind of reinvent it and go through all the problems and then, go down all the dead ends, which I did and you probably did. Or maybe we can solve for, a little bit, a little bit better choices.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are listening today and thinking, gosh, somebody in your life had a story to tell and that story was never captured, I want you to think about that moment now and decide to go tell your story. I think it's such great advice, Bob, to do it in small chunks. And then you have a whole book if you wanted to go write a book or a memoir, or you could do a video library or an audio library that you could leave behind with all of your stories, not just your stories, but your knowledge.
Yes.
And like you said, all of the times that you maybe fell down and skinned your knees and open
Yeah.
up that store on your elbow for the fourth time and
Yeah.
doing the hard thing. Yeah, we've all been there, but we don't capture those stories. And particularly a generation that didn't grow up with recorders and computers and things that were accessible in our homes. I mean, I'm not 74 yet, Bob, but we didn't have a computer when I was growing up. So there wasn't
Certainly
necessarily a
didn't.
way to capture stories as we
Right.
were, right? As we were coming up. And I think that's so important that we capture those stories. Okay, Bob, talk to me about what's next. So I know you guys are still working on this Bob project, and that's something that you're going to continue to work on. You've finished up the Young Professionals Playbook. It's out there and ready to be used. What's next?
Yeah, what's next is actually I'm working. In fact, Lacey and I are going to go and meet with a company that's actually in town here. Everybody comes to Las Vegas, right, for the conferences and the like. So we have a big
Yep.
conference here called HR Tech that's just starting today. So a company we've been working with is called Baryons.ai. And so they produce AI agents. And so what we are doing is kind of helping them think through kind of AI agents that are mentors. Okay, they're designed to be mentors. Now they're not designed to be Bob mentor. Okay, they're generic mentors. But the beauty is that once you start to engage with with what they call my baryons. So it's a phone call. You make a phone call, and when my baryons answers the phone, my baryons goes, "Oh, hi, Bob." Okay, it knows my phone number. Okay, how are you doing today? Oh, the last time we had a chat last week or yesterday or this morning, you said that you wanted to explore blah 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 blah. So one of the things that we're doing is trying to work with them to kind of understand, for they to understand what we're thinking about in terms of the power of an AI agent that's designed to be a mentor for, again, especially Gen Zs and alphas and millennials. And so, how do you construct that? And then what kind of things are you trying to have as objectives for that interaction? Is it coaching or is it in fact mentoring or some combination thereof? So I think that's the next big thing. So we've been working with them now for probably the last, 2 or 3 months or so, as kind of informal advisors. But today will be the first day that we're going to have a physical face-to-face. We've obviously been on multiple Zoom calls and Google Meet and whatever. But now we're actually going to sit down with them and have a chat with them, since they're at the conference and we live in town. So we're going to go over and meet with them. So that, I think, the Baryons is the next big exciting thing, is getting to have this available effectively to everybody. So, you're not paying big bucks to get a mentor or whatever. You actually, it's a small, subscription fee. And now suddenly you have this intelligent agent that knows you and can kind of build on all the conversations that you're going to have to guide you through your decision making and your thinking. So it's crazy interesting stuff these days. I will tell you, I am so excited about what's going on with AI. Everybody's, they're the world's burning down. AI is coming to kill us and whatever. No.
No. It's not. So let's tackle that, Bob. So for those who are listening in today and thinking, oh my gosh, my job or my work or my profession is going to go away because it's going to be replaced by AI or some bot, where does the intersection of human and AI come together? And what does that look like in the future, do you think?
Yeah, Tricia, I think AI will take over the mundane. Okay, it's actually going to, the drudgery of work. We all know the drudgery of work, right? I mean, it goes on in every single one of our lives. Okay, so AI is going to take away the drudgery of our jobs. Okay, and in fact, be a tool. If you think about it as a tool, and now what it's going to do is free you to be able to contribute the human part, okay, your brain, okay, the real thinking part, the reasoning part, okay, what is it, kind of that logical part of your brain that have been is not being used too much because you're doing all this drudgery stuff, okay.
Right.
So, I think if everybody's kind of thinking about, so if in fact I can get rid of all this drudgery stuff, where's the real value that I can add in terms of, advising or consulting or kind of helping my client actually leverage all of this stuff that now the AI is doing, but only the AI can't give, kind of the wisdom. Okay. It hasn't lived. Okay. But you have. Okay. And so I think, where are all of those lessons learned and all of really all of that kind of insights and wisdom, and how do you now be able to really provide that to your customers, your clients, your colleagues, et cetera. I think it's going to be incredible in terms of the opportunity that AI is going to, and it's going to get rid of the drudgery, which is the thing that all of us hate anyway. So now it's work with it. It's like, okay, don't resist. Okay, figure out how to actually move forward and kind of bring that to the front. And effectively say, okay, fine. Okay, this is what I'm going to be able to do. This is what the machine's going to be able to do, and we're going to do it together.
Yeah. So as you were talking through that, I'm thinking AI is actually going to elevate us to use more brain power
Bingo.
beyond, right, what the bot can do. So we're going to start engaging more parts of our brain and doing more thinking and analyzing and computing up here versus just changing trash can liners, right? And doing the mundane things like time management or whatever it is that I do over here with my sticky notes and all of the things that I could use automation and AI for, right?
You'll have an AI
Wow.
agent as your assistant doing all of that stuff. And now the real thing is, all the value that Tricia brings to the table is going to be more like, 80% rather than 20% of what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Okay, Bob, our time went by so darn fast. I know this happens all the time. What is one last thought around AI, humans interacting with AI, leaving a legacy? What is one final thought that you would like to leave with the audience today?
I think if everybody in the audience can think about, what is the possible? It isn't, oh no, I'm going to have to fight this, or I'm going to have to resist it, or I have to. The real question is, what is the possible? And each person is going to have a different what is the answer to that. What is the possible? But once you kind of zero in on that, I'd say, be curious and actually just oh my, but do some investigation. It isn't like you can't investigate. And then, like I said, I would definitely recommend to everyone to think about their story, think about capturing their story, think about 15 minutes a day. I'm a big 15 minutes a day kind of a guy. I do a lot of things, but in 15-minute chunks. So I don't wait until, I got it programmed in 2.5 weeks from now. I'm going to spend, Thursday, the blah, blah, blah to do. No, I never do that. It's like, I'm going to do something today and then something tomorrow, something the next. But by the time I get to that Thursday, 2.5 weeks from now, the thing is actually got a life of its own at that point. So I'd say do that, okay, and start capturing your story. Even if you're younger, even if you're in your 30s, you still live 30 years, okay. It's still good to do that, and if you're doing it in 10, 15, 20-minute chunks, you can just have all of these files sitting on your smart device or on your computer, and you're going to be really happy in a year.
Yeah. Or in 10 years when you can't remember what you did 10 years before, right?
Yeah, or that would be less for me. So it's maybe it's probably 20 or 30 years for you. It's probably, next year for me. So
Oh my goodness. This has been awesome, Bob. I'm so glad that you came back and spent this time with me today, really focused on this space that's so important to all of us. What's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to learn more or just have a conversation, Bob?
Sure. A couple of ways. Number one, you can go to my website. So mycuriouslife.net, mycuriouslife.net. Okay. And you'll see actually a bunch of the radio shows and podcasts that I was guests on, including Trisha's the last one. So you can go to that, or just connect with me on LinkedIn. That's always a great place. So Bob Danna, 2 N's, Danna. So Bob Danna on LinkedIn, and if you put Bob Danna, My Curious Life, or something like that, then there's kind of, I think, only one of me anyway on LinkedIn that you'll find. But anyway, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or I am now on Substack. So I actually I'm contributing quite a bit on Substack, and then I've got a Facebook site. I mean, so there's other places that you can find me. But Bob Danna, and again, Bob Danna, My Curious Life usually kind of gets to me pretty quickly. But definitely website, LinkedIn, and I am, as you can imagine, I am very open to conversation and sharing, and because I don't work.
I appreciate that you want to get out there and have conversations and tell stories. It's so important. That's really what we've been focused on today. So I hope that I get the real Bob Danna next time, not the bot Bob. I
want you to talk about Bob. Absolutely. That's my goal in life now, is actually to turn this over to Bob.
Turn it over to Bob. Bob, thank you so much for being with me today. It has been my pleasure to host you.
Oh, Tricia, thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, team. Bob Danna, fellow at Global Curiosity Institute and author of the memoir, My Curious Life. If my grandkids ask about me, tell them this. Bob, thank you again. It's been my pleasure. That's all the time we have for today. If you found value in this conversation that I had with Bob today, please share it with a fellow entrepreneur, a veteran, or a Houston business leader ready to grow. Be sure to follow, rate, and review the show. It helps us reach more bold business minds just like yours. And your business, your leadership, and your legacy are built one intentional step at a time. So stay inspired, stay focused, and keep building the business and the life you deserve.